Members, it is now 3:30. I'll call to order the meeting of the Panel on Information Technology and Broadcasting. Members, please go to your seats.
I'd
like to remind you of the procedures of this meeting. According to ROP 77-6, a member who is now the chairman of or deputy chairman of a government advisory body relevant to the panel shall not be the chairman or deputy chairman of this panel. This is the Panel on Information Technology and Broadcasting. Rule 77(7) of the ROP also provides that a member shall not be chairman or deputy chairman of more than one panel at the same time. Many other panels have already elected their chairman and vice chairman. If the same members will be nominated, the clerk will remind me that that member cannot be nominated here. Over 10 members have been nominated in other panels. They stand as candidates to the chair, but they have not been elected, and according to the rules, they can be elected here. But please ascertain the wishes of those members. Now I'll call for nomination. Anyone? Mr. Kenneth Leung? I nominate Mr. Charles Smock. Mr. Charles Smock. Any seconder? I see Miss Claudia Mo first. Miss Claudia Mo seconds. Mr. Charles Smock, do you accept nomination? I do. Is a valid nomination. Any other nominations? Mr. Kenneth Lau. Your nomination is Miss Elizabeth Quat, seconded by Miss Starry Lee. I accept nomination. Okay, any other nominations? I'll count 1 to 3. 1. A point of order. What is it? I think we have time and we should ask some views of the two candidates. Okay, let me close nomination first. I will count 1 to 3 again. 1, 2, 3. Nomination is closed. We have 2 nominations. Dr. K.K. Kwok says he would like to ask the 2 members about their style of chairing meeting and their vision. Can you please raise your hand if you want to ask questions? Hands up. 2, 3, 4. Let's do this. Each member who has been nominated will be given a minute, and each member asking questions will be given half a minute. Let me do this. There will be 2 members asking questions at a go, and the 2 members asking questions will be given 30 seconds each, and the member answering the question will be taking up 2 questions at any one time. I think then we can complete the election of the chairman. You don't have to come to the chair. Mr. Charles Smock, I will give you 1 minute. Thank you, Chairman. I represent the IT constituency. I hope I can chair meetings of the ITB panel, so we can discuss issues of concern to the sector. For a period in the past, after setting up the INT Bureau, people had expectations of it, but with regard to the expansion of the market and employment, I think the policies still have to be improved upon. If I would become the chairman, I would ask the government to be accountable to us in these areas. And other issues in society will be relevant as well, especially about telecommunications, broadcasting, television licenses, and frequencies. all these require our attention. The policies have been postponed and delayed. I'd like to give this more time. Ms. Elizabeth Quat. I think members of the public and most members know that we need to diversify our industries. The work of the ITB panel will be very important. With the I&T Bureau, there will be new policies and measures that have to be discussed with members at the panel so they can be implemented and launched. I hope I can therefore continue to chair the ITB panel so we can monitor the implementation of policies on I&T by the government. I hope the panel can continue to promote I&T development in Hong Kong, and so that our views can be reflected to the administration, and together with the administration we can really implement policies for the benefit of the industry and also for the public. The two members asking questions are Ms. Claudia Mo, 30 seconds. 30 seconds? Sorry. You can do it. You are a program host. The traditional freedom of the press has been drawn to our attention. We now set eyes on web liberty. In the mainland, they talk about IT and internet sovereignty, but actually IT should know no national boundaries. I'd like to ask the two candidates, what is your attitude towards internet liberty or freedom? Only 22 seconds. Mr. Ray Chan, sorry. Dr. Kwok first. Chairman, are you not sober? I'd like to ask two questions. It is important for chairman of panels to be credible. I will give the time to Ms. Elizabeth Quat to let us know her academic qualification, because that is absent from the website. Secondly, many media organizations in Hong Kong, as you know, are turning to the mainland. As you know, one entrepreneur of the mainland has become the vice chairman of Hong Kong TVB. Ms. Elizabeth Quat, just 1 minute. We understand that in Hong Kong, freedom of speech and freedom of the internet are to be defended. We know the internet world can also be dangerous. So while we have freedom, we should also be mindful of morality and possible internet bullying. I'd like to thank Dr. Kwok for the question on my academic qualification. I have answered this many times in election forums. If there is any question with my academic qualification, I should not be able to sit here as a member. As for mainlandization of our media, you can see that our press organizations have maintained a very high standard. None of the media in Hong Kong has been sanctioned or stopped from operating because they took CY Leung or any mainland official to task. So I think we still have freedom of the press. Mr. Charles Mok, about internet freedom. We have been trying to defend and safeguard freedom of speech and internet freedom all these years. Near the end of the week, I will fly to the U.S. to discuss internet freedom in the U.S. next week. I'm the only one from Hong Kong, whether I represent Hong Kong or not. Members mentioned the mainlandization of TV stations. Well, I'm not only talking about this as a political issue, but rather whether Hong Kong people have too little choice in terms of television watching. It seems the licensees now do not have their main operation in Hong Kong anymore. When the Communications Authority issues licenses, there has been some restriction on ownership or directorship. But I don't know why in the few years, I think that has been relaxed. I hope the CA will take a hard look at the issue. Mr. Raymond Chan, 30 seconds. Hong Kong's broadcast policy is in a mess. We don't have other television stations anymore. We only have 3 which are applying for licenses. Just now, Ms. Kwat said that she will monitor the work of the government. I'd like to know how the 2 candidates can urge the government to come up with a proper broadcasting policy. Mr. Stephen Ho. Mr. Charles Mok is the member of the constituency. But in the past 4 years, when there is a conflict between political issues and the interest of his industry, he has not done a good job. Like there was filibustering about the setting up of the INT Bureau. And I'd like to ask Mr. Charles Mok what he is going to do in the next 4 years. Mr. Charles Mok, I thank Mr. Stephen Ho for his question. We have just completed the election and it has not been a long time. I can tell you that 60-odd% of my constituents elected me, not the other candidate. It seems you are challenging me at an election forum. But the electors have already indicated their wish. Therefore, your question should not be regarded as real. Let's not talk about changing tack. As the chairman, we should not allow the government not to deliver. It should take issues for discussion. Now, since I have time, I can answer Mr. Ray Chan as well. If I can become chairman, I will require the administration to discuss and give an account of the delay in issuing TV licenses. Why is it that Hong Kong TV has not been given a license the second time it has applied for a license? Ms. Elizabeth Kwat, I thank Mr. Ray Chan. Just like me, I'm very concerned about the development of the broadcast industry in Hong Kong. When I chaired meetings, I also chaired hearings on broadcast policies, so the public and stakeholders were able to express their views. If you want to promote the development of the broadcast policies, we should raise our views in the panel. If you require officials to come along, I will not shirk my responsibility. I will make the arrangements. Okay, voting will begin now. We'll ask the staff to distribute ballot papers. When you get a ballot paper, please use the chalk to indicate your choice. Mr. Charles Mok is number 1, Ms. Elizabeth Kwat number 2. Please be mindful of the numbers. The members who have just come in, if you do not have a ballot paper, please raise your hand until you get a ballot paper.
Just now, a member entered the room. Dr. K. Kwok, please return to your seat. The member just entered. He doesn't have a slip. Dr. K. Kwok doesn't have a ballot paper yet. For members in the room now, if you do not have a ballot paper, please raise your hand. To the count of 5, we will stop distributing ballot papers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The distribution has ended. Can our staff please collect the ballot papers? We distributed 49 ballot papers. Please put your ballot papers into the box personally. Before you do so, please do not leave your seats. We will count the ballots, and the 2 nominees would supervise the counting. Please be prepared.
好，嗱，我請梁繼昌議員同埋劉耀。
Can Mr. Kenneth Leung and Mr. Lau Yu Keung come up to supervise the counting, please?
好，49。
We distributed 49 ballot papers. Number 1. Number 2. 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 Number 1. Number 2. Number 2. Number 2. Number 2. Number 2. Number 1. Number 1. Number 1. Number 2. 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 Number 1. 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 Please count the votes again.
OK。OK 得。好，嗱，我哋派出咧就係
We distributed 49 ballot papers and we received 49 ballot papers. Number 1, Mr. Charles Mott, 17 votes. Number 2, Elizabeth Quad, 32 votes. I declare that Dr. Elizabeth Quad is elected as chairman of the panel on Information Technology and Broadcasting. Would Dr. Quad please preside over the meeting?
First
of all, thank you very much for your support. Let's proceed to the voting of the Deputy Chairman of the panel. An effective nomination shall be made orally by a member, seconded by at least one other member, and accepted by the member being nominated. I now invite nominations. Mr. Kenneth Leung. I nominate Mr. Charles Mok. Any seconders? Dr. K.K. Kwok. Mr. Charles Mok, do you accept the nomination? Yes. This is a valid nomination. Any further nominations? To the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Congratulations, Mr. Zhao Smok, who is elected as the Deputy Chairman of the panel. Let's proceed to the second item on the agenda. Schedule of meetings for the 2016 to 17th Legislative Council session. And we agreed the meetings would be held on the second Monday of each month at 2:30. If there are no objections, we will follow the practice. The schedule of meetings has been attached in Appendix 2. Any comments on this suggested schedule of meetings? If not, let's approve this schedule. Item 3 on the agenda, items to be discussed next time. Please refer to the list of issues suggested to be considered and the list of outstanding items. The government proposed the project Capital Works Reserve Fund Head 710 Computerization Subhead A007GX Block Allocation New Administrative Computer Systems. Any other suggestions, Mr. Zhao Smok? I have a few issues which I hope the government would discuss. First, the government's procurement policy. This is not about Head 710. In terms of policy, the trade has accused the Hong Kong government of not purchasing Hong Kong products. And as for contractual staff of the government, around half the contractual staff are outsourced, and this is not satisfactory. I'd like to talk about IT certification, the publication of data, and currently some remote areas or rural areas in Hong Kong are not do not have broadband coverage, and these are topics the government should discuss. There's a long list, so I might add to that by writing. As for smart city, some of the future meetings should involve other panels as well. For example, panel on transport. I hope the chairman can consider that with the government. And number 10 in the list, we have spectrum trading. We should talk about the overall spectrum policy. We shouldn't just discuss trading. We should either expand the scope of discussion or have a separate item to talk about the overall IT spectrum trading policy. Dr. K. Kwok, I have two questions. I talked about the Chinese influence on our TV and radio stations. In the most popular free TV channel in Hong Kong, we can see that both the chairman and vice chairman have a Chinese influence. So in our coming meeting in October, we should cover these issues. As for the free TV licenses should also be discussed. And RTHK is now the only digital radio broadcaster. So what lies ahead for digital radio broadcasting in Hong Kong? Ms. Tanya Chen. Chairman, I don't know whether this should be covered by this panel. You can see that a lot of trading and food transactions nowadays can be done online. For example, Uber. has the government's regulations been updated together with these technology developments? There are loopholes at the moment and some glaring ones too. So would our regulations be updated? Would the government follow up on that? If we have loopholes, there would be inconvenience for the public and our users, and there might be safety concerns as well. Time's up. I would extend the meeting by 1 or 2 minutes to allow Mr. Michael Tian to speak.
In the coming year, I'd like to ask the administration to talk to us about Wi-Fi connected city. In Hong Kong, we cannot use Wi-Fi in many places. Also, at the Economic Services Panel, we talked about the regulation of person-to-person phone promotion activities. It should not be discussed here. Right. And last but not least, in the 2016 policy address, the CE mentioned the use of big data. I think this is the time for the administration to come and let us know the relevant policies. Mr. Ray Chan? I'd like to talk about number 9, review of the broadcasting ordinance. Before the summer, funds have been applied for to do this. I'd like the administration to come to the panel to give an account. Right, thank you. I will take up those items with different policy bureaus. We hope they can be brought to the panel for discussion. The last item, AOB. The date of the next meeting is the 14th of November 2016 at 2:30. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.